It's an arbitrage.
How are you all doing today? We just wanted to come live and talk about a few things that we've been seeing during the week and just over the past few weeks, actually. And things are unfolding slightly. And so we wanted to bring that to your attention. But first thing I want to say is because this is assets and arbitrage, we have to always remember to be stacking, 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 right? That means stacking Satoshis and that means stacking ounces, precious metals, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, whatever you may want to get, industrial metals, if you will, copper. And what's another important industrial metal we talk about? I can't remember it. Okay, well, it'll come to
Gold,
me.
silver.
Yeah.
I
Some
would
of
just
these,
stick with the basic.
yeah, some of them are industrial. Some of them are more like as far as containing your wealth. So that's why silver is a very special metal because it is industrial and also conserves and contains your wealth. So, point being, stacking, stacking, and stacking, even if it's just a little bit, right? Just a little bit. Stacking and stacking, stacking, so we can get to our overall goal. So with that being said, we're gonna go into the news of the week of interesting items that we have come across. Interesting, the word being interesting.
May we live in interesting times.
That's what they say.
Um, so it's not going to be a long show, guys. It's going to be really, really quick. But on October 4th, FEMA is sending out a nationwide alert to everyone's cell phone, television, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a test. The concerning part about that is this is the seventh time they've ever done that. Now, you know, Suspicious Simon, right? That's what y'all gonna start calling me, Suspicious Simon. So it concerns me, and I'll tell you why I'm concerned about that. You know, Maui literally burnt down and not one alarm went off. So now you want to test the system nationwide. There's nothing happening, but it is a red flag for me, right? So since it's a red flag, you guys can look it up. FEMA Nationwide Emergency Test, October 4th. It's going to happen at approximately 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It does show up at 10 a.m. AKDT. I was in the military, and I don't know what type of time they're using. We use Zulu time
Yeah.
when we were in the military. I don't know what time that is, but when you do the conversion, it's 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, in addition to that, we've also noticed some soft martial law in New York City, soft. We noticed it in Chicago due to looting. We noticed it, there are some TikTokers, people are slowly but surely sending footage of like tanks, low flying military aircrafts over in their random cities. I don't know, my Facebook timeline likes to party because as far as my Facebook timeline is concerned, life is great, life is good.
And remember to mention those other cities that we spoke of as far as Washington, D.C.
Yeah, so
And
Washington, D.C. has several things going on there. So the thing is that each city has a different reason for their soft martial law. When I say martial law, I'm not saying martial law, right? I said soft because it's just a military presence, and you want to know, well, why, right? So they have their reason. New York said that the migrant situation is out of control, plus the World Economic Forum is meeting there, plus they had some parade or something that didn't have anything to do with September 11th. Chicago said theirs was because I can't remember what two streets it was, but two streets, the whole entire street was looted all in one night last week. I don't know why they're in Memphis, right? It's Memphis, so maybe that's why. I'm not really sure. So I want to know if you guys are seeing stuff like that. These are TikTokers. This is happening in real time. My concern is that it's the same thing for different reasons. Then you have the national emergency test coming up in October, and it's like somebody knows something that they're not Discussing. Great. Let's say nothing happens, no problem. But assets and arbitrage is always about finding the opportunities and being prepared, right? So while you are stacking, right, your precious metals, and you guys got to remember, for those of you who are new to the show, gold and silver are sound money. It's actual money, and it's been money for 6,000 years, right?
Yes.
I think over.
I mean, 6,000 years is the number they like to use. You know, like she said, it's sound money as the tenets of Aristotle, right? You have sound money principles that he has mentioned that we have gone over. So it is sound money. And, you know, you have to be strategic in these days and times as you stack. However you're going to stack. You're going to stack digitally or you're going to stack, you know, physically, and you know a little mixture of both. But be very strategic, especially in your lifestyle and the way that it affects you, right? You know, some people, it may be better off to have more, what would you say, digital. Some people it may be better to have more physical. You know, it just depends on how you have it set up. But always be thinking about it. Always be thinking about that as these things are happening, you know, around us, because, you know, there was a time where they came and took your physical gold and silver back, I believe, in 1930s. I can't remember the president on that. I want to say it was, yeah, man, you fact check me on that one.
Yeah, but y'all can look that up. Y'all got supercomputers in your pocket.
They're coming through and they just, you know, hey, you got to sell your physical gold, silver back to the government. So you know, if you got a whole bunch of physical gold, silver, you have to keep that in mind. They can't really confiscate your digital assets, but they can sit
Your
on
Bitcoin. He's talking about your Bitcoin. He's not talking about your digital silver and gold.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They'll just take that.
Yeah. They can sit on your wallets and stuff. And sit on wallets and see when stuff is moving around. And you guys know about that kind of thing. But yeah, so it's always about being strategic as you see these kind of things going on, because you know, a lot of this stuff could get away from you, you know, if you're not paying attention to it. So, you know, that's why we keep wanting to come in. You know, we talk about the cities. What are the cities called? Smart cities.
The smart cities.
Smart cities and things like that. And it's a whole bunch of moving parts going on behind the scenes simultaneously that you're like, well,
Right, that concrete ball is moving, right? Doesn't seem like it's moving fast, and it isn't yet. But once it gains just a little bit momentum, downhill it goes, and everybody is, you know, gonna be, sorry, I stepped right on my baby's foot, y'all. Maurice Thompson said, love y'all's show. Keep up the great content. Can we get a Bitcoin bull run prediction? Bitcoin's the most sound money. Let's keep stacking. I've been watching this not even post-apocalyptic, this apocalyptic event happening, which is now current events for us. To be honest, I haven't even been watching that stuff because, like he said, you guys don't even understand all of the things I'm watching simultaneously, and it's a lot of rabbit hole jumping. So I don't have a Bitcoin prediction right now. We have our stuff automated where we're getting as much of it as we can, as often as possible, as well as which is what, every 2 weeks, every week, every 2 weeks.
Every week, it could be every day. You know, I don't care. I buy a little bit of Bitcoin. Doesn't matter.
I know the silver's every week too, right?
Yeah. You know, and that's a yeah. I'm sorry. We'll get to you. I'll get back to my technicals. Because, you know, I've been kind of sliding on my technicals and stuff.
And we have been, because a lot of our content creators that we share this platform with, they do the technical. Not to say they don't do current events, but I've really been jumping down these rabbit holes, y'all. This is really live. It is really live. Yes, Maurice, it's really live.
Yeah.
Hi, Atlanta's Black Wall Street. Thank you so much for joining us. He said confirmed, it's really live.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, it's really live.
It's live. We live and direct.
Fast as you can type it, as I'm going to read it.
We live and direct from Mexico.
But
for now.
But I'm really kind of reaching out to you guys. I just want to kind of start tingling your spidey senses, right? If something don't feel right, it ain't right. With the FEMA National Emergency Alert, they are going to send a tone to everyone's, when I say device, everyone's device that's hooked up to some type of Wi-Fi, right? So that's phones, iPads, Android, whatever they got going on, televisions, any device they can send this pulse to. And Suspicious Simon has her suspicions about that, because if they can send that pulse to anything, what kind of outcome could you potentially have from the wrong frequency being sent, right? If people, and I know this is like conspiracy theory 101, but you have to consider these things, right? If they're biomapping our brains and doing all of these nefarious things, you're sending out a test alert, but a whole island burnt down and you didn't send any alerts, right? Like, all of these things have my spidey senses like,
Right.
I don't like it.
Whole island, and then also we spoke on, I don't know if we did or did not speak on, but what happened in Turkey.
Oh, I did not
I don't
know.
know if we spoke on that.
Turkey had a similar wildfire with these beautiful, luxurious condos. So in Maui, only the poor people, regular people's houses burnt down. Will Smith, Oprah, all of the mansions, the wildfire, these are smart fires, much like the smart cities, y'all. These fires were so intelligent, they were able to discern between luxury living mansions and regular houses. They were able to determine, to melt over 2,000 degrees of a car that wasn't blue. Only the blue cars didn't burn. Their tires did, though. The tires burned.
And we hate that. We hate to get too far off, but we gotta bring
off
it
the
up.
reservation. But I say all of that, right? Whole island burned down. No emergency broadcast system goes. We're going to test it now.
But talk about the people, the burning down of land and the acquisition of land, and the key players of that. Who are the key players who are acquiring all the land that has been burned down?
It's like Alice in Wonderland. It's Aaron in Wonderland. So right now the spotlight's on Oprah, because Oprah's been buying up land and making offers at a pace that the island hasn't really seen before. And we're bringing these things up, right? I know you guys don't live in, but maybe you do. Don't live in Hawaii or have assets or anything there. But you want to know, lately they've been using a lot of the term wildfire, and while it escaped me since 2017, it has not escaped me now. So I'm looking to see, right? They want to be, and this is just conjecture at this point, speculative. You want to build these smart cities, and in a lot of the places you want to build smart cities, where are you going to build a smart? Where is New York City going to build a smart city? We going to put you in Queensbridge projects? Like, where are we putting you at? So Detroit, they can raise all of that and build a smart city.
Yes.
But like in Washington, D.C., where would the smart city be? I would be curious. What land are you procuring? Because you remember they want everything in the city center. California had mad wildfires in 2017. So now I'm looking to see what's going to happen in those areas where those wildfires happen. And we were so used to California having wildfires, just went right over the radar. Gary, Indiana. East Illinois.
That's what they tell me. That's what they tell me. East Chicago, that's what they call it.
So I'm kind of looking, are you going to create new city centers? And that's not neither here nor there. Really, the point of the show is your spidey senses should be tingling. And in the process of it tingling, what you want to do is, tomorrow's Friday, it's somebody's payday. You absolutely want to go out and start buying non-perishable goods, extra water, right? However many people in your household, try to buy an extra pack of water for each person in your household. As y'all can imagine, we like Wu-Tang Clan in here. It's 6
a lot of people in here. Yep, she's right. Perishable goods, canned goods, things that
non-perishable goods.
I'm sorry. Non-perishable goods, canned goods, things that won't go bad, that you can eat.
Right.
But water is essential to what you need. It depends on, like we said last week, whatever your get down is, you might need some ammunition. if you get down like that, and you have
Or
your
at least just start, putting it away. Just start
putting
squirreling
away
it
your
away.
ammunition, your stuff like that. Depends on where you live. If you need LPG, the liquid petroleum for your house for
Generator.
heating. Yeah, you're heating your house and stuff like that. Your stove, a
Yeah.
generator. If you need just actual gasoline.
Stuff like those long lighters, those long big lighters. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure everybody in the U.S. has electric stoves. Believe it or not, we live in the country, so we got a gas stove. So the stove
Yeah.
works whether electricity works or not, as long as I can light it. Maybe extra gas if you have a generator. Start putting that away. Extra gas for your car, right? Because you never know. So you just start getting those big containers, those gasoline-approved containers, y'all. Don't go down there with no 2-liter Sprite bottle or nothing crazy like that. You go with the approved container, and maybe just start. I know it's going to be like $100 per container with the gas prices, but you may just need to do that, right? You just never know. And we're bringing all of that up because we don't know what's going on. I noticed that the media is not the media that we remember as children and young adults, that you would have that journalist who want to break that story wide open. They're owned by the 6 corporations that belong to the 13 families. And let's leave it at that, y'all, right?
So in that vein, I mean, not to
Go
cut
ahead,
you
babe.
off, but that's why you have to dig for this information. She does a great job of digging for
Love
this
those rabbit
information.
holes.
Yeah, it is. It's rabbit. It's crazy stuff out there.
Fourth turning.
What's that?
Atlanta Black Wall Street said the 4th turning is pretty much here already. Oh yeah, we're in it.
Yeah, we're in the 4th turning. We did a great show about that. A little bit back in the day, but yeah, we are in the 4th turning.
Name the book for now. Called the book this morning.
What's that? Neil Strauss and Howe.
Strauss and Howe.
Strauss and Howe, who are the authors of the 4th Turning. A great book. If you guys get a chance to go get it, but even if you don't get the 4th Turning, I'm telling you, you go on the Wikipedia page about the 4th Turning.
It's
You get a lot of.
It's comprehensive.
It's pretty comprehensive. You get a lot of information just off of Wikipedia. But yes, we are in the 4th Turning. They said the 4th Turning will culminate around the year 2030.
Now, for my 80s babies,
2030.
we've been training for this since we were born with all the movies we watched, right? We done see Terminator. We saw Book of Eli.
Yes, my
We saw Judge Dredd. We saw all of these apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic movies. So we've been training for this.
Men in Black, all this.
Oh, hi, Todd. How you doing? It's been a long time. We haven't seen you in a while. Thank you so much for joining us. Not to say you haven't been watching. I'm just saying it's nice to see your name up here.
Salute, yes, sir. Good to see you, brother.
Yes, y'all. So 2, right? I want to talk to you about some real stuff now. And we're serious about going to the supermarket and getting the things that you need in excess. You're a Sam's Club member, go. Costco member, go. If you guys spend $100, get that Restaurant Depot. If you have one, a Restaurant Depot, go and get the stuff you need. Get stuff that you can freeze as well, because the idea is pack everything tight, but you're going to use the perishable items first, right? If you're getting meat that freezes, like it's that turkey, y'all know when y'all get that turkey at Thanksgiving at the last minute, you ain't getting to cook it in time for Thanksgiving because it's just frozen all the way through. You want to get stuff like that. Right? If you guys know butchers, candlestick makers, how the little nursery rhyme go? Like, I'm serious, right? You want to try to get stuff in bulk that freezes.
Yeah. And she said that, and not to be, but like she said, if you know butchers, you get whole sides of beef and things like that. I'm not saying with people's diet and stuff like that, but sometimes when it gets rough, you got to eat what you can eat.
Right.
So you get sides of beef and stuff like that.
And the protein keeps your
keep it frozen.
sustenance up a little bit longer. So the idea is this is the proper preparedness way, right? I worked in readiness when I was in the military. So Simon and I are all about that kind of doomsday prepping. I know y'all see all this curly hair and stuff, but honey, if we got to go out there and survive, she gonna do it.
Yeah, we gonna get out there.
So don't let the weed fool y'all. But you absolutely want to pack your fridge tight, and then you want to get things like meats that freeze, right? I wouldn't do fish because fish perishes quickly. So we're talking beef.
Yeah.
right? Because you can get it in large chunks. That's probably
Yeah.
really, really expensive in the U.S. But you want to do beef.
Sides of beef.
Maybe no pork on my fork, but
Hey,
maybe for you, you get whatever you can get. Chicken also perishes quickly. So we're really, really just talking about cow, right?
beef, and for my people up north, deer, if you
Yeah, like if you live in
venison,
Buffalo, New York,
venison and stuff like
you know,
that.
Maine, like those higher areas where you have deer meat, because deer meat's really expensive if you don't live in those areas.
And please, and I know this might sound silly. It may sound silly, but please know how to start a fire.
Oh yeah, with a flint, or order that stuff off of Amazon,
You
right?
might need a flint
Yeah.
rock or something like that.
But they have the easy ones now, right?
Yeah,
You
but
don't have to do
know how to start a fire because it is important
Yeah.
when things go awry.
You should also get you a hunting knife. A lot of the hunting knives have I wish I'd go downstairs and get ours. It has you can open the handle that you hold, and it'll have matches, it'll have a flint in there. What else had in there? Oh, it had the fish hooks and
Had fish
stuff.
hooks and wire, fishing
And
wire.
fishing wire. So it had some stuff stacked in it.
And it had we call that thing?
The compass. It had a
Yeah, the
compass in it.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Todd lives in Playa del Carmen. Bienvenidos. We're so glad that you're here. Now, I want to tell you all these things. We're telling you these things because I want you to see that they were baby stepping us all along to be literally crackhead addicted to electronic devices. They wanted you to be crackhead addicted to looking stuff up on Google and not utilizing your brain as a reference.
Yes.
They wanted you to be crackhead addicted to, I need something that plugs in or I need some type of device in order to get through my day. So now we're telling you, right, you got to take it back a bit. If you guys are younger than the 80s babies, if you guys were born in like the 2000s, you got to get retrained, right? Because you're not used to living. When we were dating, we weren't text messaging each other. You have to physically come and talk to me, right? And the kids think that is like the 1900s.
Yeah, things like
We
that.
had text messaging, but A, it was expensive, and B, you had to do crazy stuff with it. But we're just showing you how man has to adapt so that you don't get caught out there. Two, I've talked to you guys, and I don't remember if I did talk to you guys, but maybe I did in my head. The Euphrates River is drying up. How does that affect us? Well, guess what else is drying up? The Mississippi River is drying up. Y'all look it up, right? The Mississippi River is drying up, which is causing the Ohio River to also dry up. It's the lowest it's been in a very long time, and it has people very, very concerned.
Yes.
What does that concern mean? That is your supply chain, right? They still do stuff old school way. Stuff is still imported by water. Everybody just assumes the FedEx plane going to fly the food to wherever it is they're going. No.
Yeah, she's right. And if you guys remember, we talked about this earlier. Supply chain back up on it was out in Asia at the ports.
The shipping containers.
At the shipping containers at ports. So, like she said, a lot of things are still being moved around via water.
Yeah.
So we have to keep that in mind. I know people think,
they just assume that it just magically teleports there. So you're
says-
going to start to see supply chain breakdown in your supermarket. What does that cause? Food deserts.
Food deserts and uptick in the charge of the food that they do have available. So then they'll raise the price on the food available. Like she said, food deserts, if you get too deep in these metropolitan areas, these urban metropolitan areas that they're trying to funnel people into. So you'll see that. So it's a lot of things. It's a lot of moving parts that you got to keep your eye on.
But they're all connected, and that's the problem, right? So we mentioned the Mississippi River and the Ohio River, right? Those are the United States. That's like the vein that pumps the blood for the U.S. as far as supply chain. So you want to get started. Like I said, it's a big, giant granite ball, right? So it's real heavy. It is hard to push. But once it starts to really get going, and it really starts to get going. So this is why every single week, assets and arbitrage right now, in addition to stacking Bitcoin and stacking your silver, have some cash on the sidelines.
Oh yeah, that's
right?
oh boy.
Because we talked about the addiction to electronics. All they got to do is shut the network down. I'm not talking about electricity. I'm just saying, let's say Verizon in your city is just down, and that's who your network is. You're not on T-Mobile. You're not on Boost Mobile. You're not on the smaller MNOs, right? So, I mean, I'm just hypothetically speaking, you got this debit card, you can't do those type of electronic transactions and you need stuff. So have some cash on the
Yeah,
sideline.
you gotta sit down and have a strategy for your capital. That's a great point she brought up because if you have some capital, whatever money it may be, doesn't matter the number. You do need to have some cash on the sidelines. And when I say cash on the sidelines, not just cash on the sidelines to invest, but cash on the sidelines that you need in your home because you've seen what happened over there in the pandemic situation where
Yeah.
people couldn't get their money.
They couldn't get
They couldn't
access
get
to
physical
it.
money. They couldn't physical fiat, I should say, physical fiat cash. They could not get. So have something, in your home as as emergency for emergencies because our good friend Andy Shackman he would say you should have $5,000 cash at your home. Now, that might not be feasible for everybody, but have a certain amount of money at your home in cash, in paper fiat dollars, because you're gonna need it. You're gonna need it here, uh, keep that in your planning process.
So for those of you who are familiar with Acorn, what Simon does is he does a physical Acorn, right? So when we go to the ATM, we get money or whatever, and we'll put some of that away. But the money that we spend, if I break, for us in Mexico, it's a 500 peso bill, it's a 500, right? So Erin goes to the market, she breaks the 500, she gets 400 pesos back. Simon has a jar at home that he called an acorn jar, and it's filled full of bills. He had a friend in the fire department, funny story, he had a friend in the fire department who had that same idea, I don't know how many years ago, babe.
Shout out to Lieutenant Henry Lemons.
He used to put money he would like go to the ATM and put money in the jar so that the house had like an emergency cash fund. Lo and behold, he was the only one adding to the fund. Everyone else was taken out, but that's a household, especially when you have older children or whatever.
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's
Two, right? We're talking about the older children and stuff. These children are spoiled. Let me tell y'all, you got to rein them in, sit down and talk to them about what's happening. They will help you to budget and to really kind of like put these plans into action, right? Tell them what's going on. Say, this is what we're going to be doing. This is what we need to do. Tell them what emergency exits are. If you live in a house that isn't independent, right? Like if you live in a building or something like that. The other thing I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm a mother of 4 children. In an emergency, you have small children, do not let your small children get separated from you because the babies are disappearing.
yes.
They said on the island of Maui, 2,000 children disappeared. I'm not going to go into what they're doing with the children because that's just a good way the whole thing get taken down. But there's a lot of nefarious things happening with children in an emergency. If you have multiple children, each parent, if you have older, everybody have a plan, have a buddy, right? Sean, you are responsible for this one. Reggie, you're responsible for that one. Mom and dad are responsible for the baby.
Yeah. For
If your children are younger than 13, don't get separated.
For my veterans out there, we used to call it battle buddies, right? So you in charge, me and you together. I keep an eye on you. Mm-hmm. These two keep an eye on each other. So that's what we call it. We have a buddy system. I refer back to battle buddies, old school style. Yeah, you gotta.
But start doing your research about when you see these disasters, what y'all do with the children, and you're gonna see how in all of these disasters, wildfires, earthquakes, this, that, children disappear, right? Because they are part of a market. We ain't gonna get into it, but you have to protect these children because a lot of times these disasters are arbitrages for those children who are worth a lot on the market for multiple reasons. Todd said that he had a peso change bag. It was 1,900 pesos and nothing but coins. That's almost $100. That's funny.
Wow.
And probably pesitos, right?
Got Change bag, huh? Well,
Hurt somebody with that.
yeah, I know, right? Come on. Yeah, I've been through something like that before, but I ain't gonna get into it because it was a mess.
So we talked about the supply chain breakdown, and that's why I said you have all of these little things happening simultaneously. The news isn't really talking about any of these things at all, so that's got my spidey sense tingling, which is why, I talked to Simon. I said, I think we should just kind of position the show to a lot more arbitrage, because this isn't a time of prosperity right now. It's not. Right? In the fourth turning, this is the time of, unfortunately, survival, right? Y'all had y'all prosperity when Bitcoin was 60,000. We was out vacationing, having fun, taking pictures. This isn't the time for that now. This is the time to get work done. This is the time to pay attention. This is the time to get prepared, stay prepared, and don't get caught slipping. So there was one more thing I wanted to bring up in addition to the supply chain breakdown.
I don't remember. I mean, I can't remember. We had spoke of a few things this morning, but I still will also say, as far as your Bitcoin and your precious metals in these times, it still will be very important in bartering, right? You can still barter with your precious metals and or Bitcoin or something like that, whatever coin you may have, where somebody may have something that you need and you pay them in that medium. And that's important. That's why you should have it on hand, on deck. Now, we're talking about moving all the way out, generational wealth and all that stuff. But apparently some things are happening now where we got to be ready to use it now. Is that right?
Yes.
And so if you want to, be able to barter with somebody, if you had some services, hey, send me some Bitcoin and I'll do the service for you, or I'll give you this product.
Definitely wait, watch, and use discernment before starting to utilize your assets for those things.
Yeah. Be very discerning. Great call on that.
But I have one last thing I want to mention to you guys, right? So we're watching the BRICS nations. And I've talked to you guys about the World Economic Forum. And right now, on the surface, it appears that the BRICS nation is trying to do their thing and the World Economic Forum is trying to do their thing. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, do not get played.
Yes, a sleight of hand type of movement is she's speaking of.
Don't get played, okay? I sat the other day and it took me by surprise. And I watched a presentation and it was Russia's in on the smart city. Really? Okay, let's watch this. As I'm watching the presentation, the World Economic Forum initiatives are flashing on the upper right part of my screen. So just know that all of these people are in bed together and the world is all a show, right? Everything they're doing on this stage, all of this, like, well, we're gonna come up with their own currency and this and that, and it looks like we're fighting. On September 22nd, they're going to be in New York City sitting down, kissing each other on the cheek, greeting each other, offering each other water and stuff as they go and move toward this initiative to create what I like to call Supermax.
Yeah, yes,
Right? I call it Operation Supermax.
Yeah, the world is a show. Everybody
all
is
a show, and
actor.
everybody's in on it.
That's
They're
what
all
they say.
actors on it, right? You're hearing a lot of talk and rumors about a hot war with the U.S. and Russia and how the Ukraine's fighting the war there so that we don't have to fight it here. I think that was the Secretary of Defense who gave that speech, but don't fall for none of that. I'm gonna tell you too, right? Since the 1600s, the Rothschilds, the Bauer family, which is their original name, have funded both sides of every single war. Every one. Down to the one we had, Operation Enduring Freedom, where we just celebrated September 11th. And this is why sometimes you got to jump down these rabbit holes so that you don't get played when they're telling you one thing and showing you another.
Yeah, and so this is very important. If you could read, I'm sorry, I can't see some of these things.
Hey, KW1, how you doing?
KW1, sir.
KW1 asked, but we don't know if that's a guy or girl.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, I keep it real generic. When you guys moved, did you take your property and possessions with you? Oh, honey.
Oh, no, we did not.
We called it Operation Breakdown.
It was over.
Sold everything, got rid of everything, just closed the children's most prized possessions. We didn't want to traumatize our then small children.
Got a lot of money for it, but still, it was a cathartic
Very
experience
cathartic.
because you had to give up some of your things, your pride, your favorite chair,
It's good
and
for
I had
you.
to sell my car,
It's good
and
for
I
you.
brought two of my children home from the hospital
In that car.
in that vehicle, and
It was brand new then too.
I had to sell it, and
So,
it almost brought me to shed a tear.
but let me tell y'all something. Don't get attached to your personal possessions, right? If the time comes where you got to leave it so you can do something dope, so you can up level your life, leave that shit right where it is, right? Because those attachments are there, that feeling, the emotion is there, and this is what they've been baby stepping you all your life, so that you get attached to stuff. It's just easier to control you when you care about these inanimate objects.
That's precious because it does. It's like a magnet. It keeps you back.
Hold you back.
Yeah.
It make you scared.
It makes you scared. It's like, man.
Cast that demon in the abyss,
Right,
honey. I'm leaving you.
And it be little stuff too,
Yeah.
and it's just like, dang, I gotta give this away. I gotta give this away. I gotta sell this. So yeah, we got rid of everything and just made the move.
And it was the best thing for our marriage. It was the best thing for the kids. It was the best thing financially. It was like, and we really had this because we didn't know what we were doing when we first moved here. I mean, you guys were seeing us
7 years
in. You should have seen us day one, right?
Day one, we was
I had bodega Spanish from New York, which really doesn't translate down here. And, it was a lot of adjusting.
What did I have?
You had nothing.
No, I think I was
barely have it now.
I was some kind of Spanish scholar in high school. What was I?
That he completely had amnesia over.
Well, if you don't use it, you lose it. That's what they tell you. That's what they tell you. Don't use it.
Crazy Bronx Don. Hi, Colonel. How you doing? I hope all is well.
Salute to the Colonel. Salute to the Colonel. Yes, sir.
And then it looks like Todd said I did the same thing. He sold it all.
Yeah.
Because he's in Playa del Carmen now. For those of you who just joined, Todd moved to Playa del Carmen. He said his wife knew he was serious when he sold. Oh, you had to sell your guns because you can't have them here. Now, here's the caveat, right? Here's the caveat. Is that a lot of the programming that we've had for the last decade, 2 decades, right? Just depending on how old you guys are. You really got to unprogram it, right? The consumption. So I've talked about it the last show. Start training yourself to consume a little bit less. Yeah. Start training yourself to maybe do like vegetable fasts or just something where, not using if you are somebody who's got your phone 24/7, just 1 hour a day, I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to read a physical book, or I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to leave my phone, walk in the backyard, do something safe, right? Don't leave your phone and do something unsafe. But
a lot of people go on social media fasts and things like that, where they're not getting into their comments and different. I don't have a big social media thing, but some people do.
Yeah, and they're big on it. They're on it all day long. And honey, when I get off of here, I'm shutting this off. But I told you, KW1 is a woman. KW1 is a woman.
No, my bad.
I say generic, but it's nice to know. It's nice to know.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
It's nice to have women in crypto, y'all. Don't want to be here by myself.
But yeah, like she said, though, take that fast. It's like, sometimes in the biblical sense, you will take a fast from foods and things of that nature.
And the fast biblically, I'm glad you brought up the Bible because y'all know I'm going to share the word with y'all.
There we go. She's about to go.
A fast biblically is about sacrifice, but it's about training your spirit and not your flesh, right? They have been training your flesh because what happens is when you don't have that thing that you're used to, whether it's meat, sugar, beer, your phone, whatever it is you're addicted to, it creates anxiety. And when you're anxious, you're unstable. And when you're unstable, it's easy to push you around and manipulate you. And that's basically what they're trying to do. That's why the news is so full of fear and anxiety all the time. And I know that this broadcast has been full of fear. I don't want y'all to be anxious, though. That's why we keep telling y'all, you just want to be prepared. You want these things to kind of that's a red flag. I just saw, a tank roll down whatever the main street of your town is. Why are y'all here? Because like I said, in these areas, they all have different reasons for them being there, but they're all there in different areas. So what's up with that? It says, my auntie told me a long time ago, when you fast, right, you fast in the spirit. And that's really what getting through the apocalypse is going to all be about. It is going to be about utilizing discernment, the spirit of discernment, and really exercising and strengthening your spirit and kind of crucifying your flesh, because that's what they're trying to control the masses with, their flesh.
Yeah, and we be honest, I think we are on a personal fast, right? Until Saturday. So we're fasting from, I don't know.
Each person has a different, like me, I love chicken, y'all. I love chicken, I love steak, so it's all vegetables. I'm doing the Daniel fast. And then the kids each have their own fast. Like Reggie don't really care about food like that. He'll eat, but he gonna fast from music. And Sean's gonna fast from his thing, and so on and so forth. And it's just an exercise in the spirit, because the people we dealing with operate in the flesh. And they're all about control, 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 control. The adversary, that's what we're gonna call him. The adversary is not omniscient. He cannot be everywhere all at once. So he uses Big Brother, he uses big data banks, he uses all of these different points of information in order to manipulate omniscience. He is not omnipotent. So he has to use all these different working bodies and get them to all work together, hence the UN and the World Economic Forum and and they're all the same players, right? They just have all these different areas, right? The Pope is going to be in charge of the religion, but he's working with the World Economic Forum, the UN, and the Geneva Conventions, right? Start doing your homework. And you see that it's the same actors, but they have like 3 or 4 different stages that they use. 2, it's all about division, 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 right? But the Bible told us that Satan can't cast out Satan, because a house divided cannot stand. So understand that's not what he's doing. When you see Russia got beef with this one, they're going to be kissing each other on the cheek at this World Economic Forum in New York City on September 22nd and 23rd.
Yeah.
They're going to work together to get those initiatives done by the time that clock runs down.
They surely will. And understand, we bring this to you as high-level information, what she's saying about the Economic Forum, the things that they have going on. But we also like to come to you as people of the people, right? So what we can do to get our house in order, as
And
normal, average
Joe bag of donuts. What can we do as a people to just be prepared, not get played, but also not get caught slipping? Todd said, so the flesh is like the stable coin pegged to the world. Yes.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Oh boy.
The Colonel, Crazy Bronx Don, said, my challenge is to start stacking my intermittent fast, stringing them together into a full day. Right, just exercising towards that full day, and then exercising towards 2 days, and then 3 days. And it's just a way where when they start doing stuff, it doesn't move you, but that's not the word that I want to use. It doesn't make you unstable.
Yeah, it doesn't bother you. It doesn't make you uncomfortable.
And oh my God, what are we going to do? And what they're used to doing is they're used to having America, I'm talking about the US, right? America always, what are you going to do to help us? Talking to the government. They always want their government leaders to step in and help. For those of you who did watch the Maui thing, the president, the sitting president that some people have voted for, maybe some people are here, took 13 days to get to this emergency site. 13 days to get to an island that's part of the United States that burnt completely down, that are also missing 2,000 children, where we still don't know what the death toll is because people are missing, right? So just understand that all that vote and all that other stuff, we don't got time for that now, because it's the same outcome decade after decade after decade. Now it's, let's watch these actors on stage and see what they're really up to, and then figure out what is the arbitrage in this. What opportunity do I see in this to help my family either maintain, and we don't want to just maintain, we want to thrive. but to thrive during this so-called crisis that is going to get made up. Y'all know what's coming.
Yeah, and I don't want to, hard pivot on this, but I do want to get back to a very basic point that if you do not have, get your passport. Get your passport while you still can get a passport. They're shutting down the ability
Yes.
to travel
Flying is
internationally. There's a shortage in pilots. Apparently, they're shutting down flights right at the
Yes.
gate.
At the gate, domestically.
Domestic flights, and that's
Which-
not even.
Go ahead, baby.
I'm sorry, that's not even internationally. You're just trying to go from Houston to Nevada to Las Vegas. They're shutting it down.
Houston to San Antonio.
Right.
Like,
So they're shutting those down. Get your passport. Get your passport and be prepared. And we did 2 shows on flag theory, and I might run one back because you need to have different things set up in other countries just in case. Just in case things are happening. It's not about running from the problems in your country and not wanting to fight. It's about making strategic moves like you would on a chessboard, right? If this is not working well right here, but we have something set up over here that is working in a better fashion, then we might go from point A to point B. Get your passports. Everybody have your passports, have your paperwork together, have it ready. You know, we talked about that at a few
also
shows.
make sure your paperwork is properly prepared in case something does happen.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I want you to understand how things work. There is a time, there is a season for everything, right?
What is that? Give me the verse.
It's Ecclesiastes 4:4.
I thought it was 1 through 8, but you
1
guys.
through 8. It's Ecclesiastes, but you can look it up, right? I have my verses, I have my scripture. I'm not good at cataloging, but I know it's Ecclesiastes, the book of Ecclesiastes. Anyway, with that being said, understand that window for people to relocate to other countries is shutting, right? And you're gonna barely be able to fit your body through that window after a while. Understand that with their climate change, that is one of the main targets that they're trying to hit, is that they're trying to keep people from moving around. We cannot control you if y'all are moving around everywhere and traveling and going here and going there, and we don't know who's here, we don't know who's in prison, we don't know who's an expat. You understand what I'm saying? 2, the smart cities. Remember what I said about them. You have the smart cities where you can only drive 15 minutes in town. You have the smart cities where stuff is 5 minutes from your door because there is no driving. You think you're flying? 3, that goes into the supply chain I talked about. We talked about the waterways, but you don't have pilots to even fly commercial aircrafts where people paid for tickets to go.
Yes.
How is food and stuff being shipped? The food that is flown on cargo aircrafts, right? After a while, the only aircraft you're going to see in the sky is going to be a military operating apparatus.
Yeah, so,
right? Not tomorrow.
No.
Not tomorrow, but that granite ball is moving.
Yeah, and so we do also want to, like I said, I just wanted to make an emphasis of people, trying to get your, trying to get your passport if you can, if you have.
No, I agree with you absolutely, but like, don't keep
Yeah.
Putting it off or think like, oh, I can get this done, and like keep watching. And this is why we're talking about the spirit of discernment. But I wanted to be realistic with what he was saying, because that window it's just shutting. It's shutting. It's going to get harder and harder to get visas in certain places. They're going to find all of these different ways, and they're going to use the carbon social credits,
right?
As a way to shut it down.
And I go through it once a year. We talk about the value they have in these passports, right? Everybody thinks the United States passport is a top tier passport, but I have different breakdowns that it shows that it's not a top tier passport. And so while it still has its nuance, it's not nuance, but it's that people think that you got that blue passport, oh, okay, you straight. But you start looking at these passports, and last time I looked, it was number 35.
Yeah. Which is not terrible, but
it's not terrible, but people would think it's number, top 5. And it's not. It is not. And so, if people out there have the opportunity to get a second passport, we always encourage that, right? If you have some kind of family member or some attachment to another country, get that passport. You should be able to get a UK passport. What's your
No,
UK
no, no, no,
passport?
no, no,
Not
because,
you? Oh, okay.
well, maybe because it was British Guyana.
I think
But
so.
definitely a Guyanese passport, but I'm not sure about a British passport. It
Yeah, but
costs a lot of money to find out, unfortunately.
if we're fighting two different wars, right?
Wars, right.
Like she said, she can get a different passport. Unfortunately, I'm an FBA, so I have the passport that I have. So I'm gonna use it to my advantage.
The other thing we would suggest
we gotta
is,
read
I'm
that.
going to.
Oh, okay.
The other thing I would suggest is if you guys are going places, and Colonel, I'm about to answer your question right now. You want to get to rural places that have like markets and where stuff is pretty local, it was killed today, that kind of thing. And I tell you why, because they've been programming us to want to be in big cities. Cities are fun, there's lots to do, there's people to meet, there's always something going on, this city that never sleeps. I can go on and on and on and on and on, right? And it was really hurting cattle to just over time, we just program you like nobody wants to live in a rural area. There's no opportunities there. You can't work. There's a lot of inconveniences. Notice that everything they do for your convenience, and we talked about that in the sustainable cities, is really a way to control you. So the colonel asked, and this is why we're going into this, after we sold everything, relocated, the rebuilding of the assets. What we moved from the United States so that we could, you ready? Have a 20% spent lifestyle, 80% investment.
Yeah,
That required, go ahead, baby, with the sacrifice.
yeah, with the sacrifice, yeah, you did have to sell everything and then reinvest, but what you were doing, so I keep going back. We did a show about this, but if you look at rate adjusted, Mexico was giving you about, it depends on how you spent, but 3 to 5, right? So whatever you made, if you made some kind of annual income, you were getting 3 to 5 times that income in Mexico.
At the
Right?
time, right?
At the time, in that window. So, you can come over here if you made, $40,000 a year, you can get up to it's spent like 120 up to like 150,000
At the time. So
at
this
the
is
time.
2017 to about the pandemic.
Yeah.
Now, understand that also means training the people in your household. We are not going to live like the Real Housewives of Atlanta. That is not what we're going there to do. No, I'm serious, right? Because the programming, everybody thinks that when you go and you live in this other country, you should be living this luxurious life where you can take all these selfies and this. That's not what we came here to do, right? So you will have to train the people in your household to sacrifice for the greater good. And then once we stacked all of that stuff away, it was like, okay, now we can get a nice house for the kids. We can loosen up a little bit for a time such as now, right?
Yeah.
So now it's back to, we're going back to squirreling again, but everybody has a muscle memory to do it.
Yeah.
So just understanding, doing these things with intention, but knowing the sacrifices in there, right? Not big on social media. For those of y'all who are my Facebook friends, Colonel, you a Facebook friend. How often do I post? Like never.
And Colonel, I'm just speaking to the Colonel, directly. And there's different ways to do this thing because if you have your setup and situation, you can just kind of go to another country. It doesn't have to be permanently, you know what I mean? So if you already have your home, you already purchased your home where you live, you have these things, then you can go somewhere else for a small amount of time, right? Is that how we said it? You may want to spend 3-6 months somewhere, then you get back to your home. And there's some people who want to just sell it all and just start
They
over.
all in.
Yeah,
Sight unseen.
Yeah, those people all in. So those two different things.
They two different personalities.
But
But you got like here, I can't get a Little Debbie oatmeal cream pie. That sounds crazy to y'all, right? You get that at your corner store. There's a lot of stuff we don't get here. There's one barbecue sauce that they sell here in this city. We would have to drive 40 miles away to only get 5 barbecue sauces.
But it helps too. It
I mean,
also,
I know, I just wanted to give them an idea
it
on what we're
also
working
helps,
with.
you know, because we've been here 7 years, I guess. I've lost 55 pounds since I've been here.
The good
And,
way.
and not because I've been trying to like work out and stuff. You know, just the food is the food is healthier. There's not as many options.
And
No,
there's
I
not
don't.
a lot of overconsumption.
Yeah, I don't get a oatmeal cream pie. I don't get these things. I don't get that. So
Fudge rounds.
yeah, so I don't get these things.
But I'm just
so,
explaining how we don't have access to a lot of the creature comforts we're used to. Mexicans have their own creature comforts. Every gummy that they can manufacture has chamoy in it, which is tangy and spicy. But I'm getting off track.
Read them off. Read them off. Who we got?
Todd said that Sierra Leone works with African ancestry DNA.
Yeah.
So if your ancestry comes back from Sierra Leone, you can do citizenship by ancestry.
Yeah.
So that's a great recommendation. KW1 is single. She makes $72,000 a year. It will go far here, right? It goes really, really far.
You still would get 3x. You still would get 3x in Mexico. It would put pressure if you lived in Mexico City. She said.
Not Mexico. I'm talking about the rural areas,
Yeah.
especially if you work remote. So just to give you an idea, because we are a family of 6, game day Sunday, when we do overconsume and overindulge, I can buy, y'all ready? 6 pounds, 6.6 pounds to be exact.
Yes, indeed.
Of wings. Not that we buy 6 pounds of it, but we can buy 6.6 pounds of wings for less than $10, right?
Yeah, the kids eat all the wings.
Less than $10. I'm talking the whole wing and this little extra piece that they do here in Mexico. And they're normal size wings. They're not the gigantic turkey leg giant ones that you get from Dallas BBQs and on 72nd and West Central, but it's also not the small teeny tiny sparrow ones, right? So I remember I went to go visit my mom. This was years ago. She got like 6 or 8, maybe 10 wings. It was almost $20. And that was then. I said, that's crazy.
Yeah, so we gotta. I mean, these are the arbitrages that we speak of. Definitely, get that passport just in case. Just in case, y'all. Get that passport. Make sure it's ready to go. I know everybody can't get a passport, and there's things that's going on. But the people who can, if you will, get a passport, I think it would be
Beneficial.
beneficial. I'll let you read
I
this.
didn't get to say hello to Reno Gamble. You snuck in the
Reno?
room.
Hey, what's
Hi,
up?
Reno.
What's up,
And then
sir?
if you know, says, yeah, that helps. Your options are limited. You missed that about living down south versus the city. There's also more privacy as well. And it's a little bit harder, I think, for them to kind of, not really, right? Because if you live down south and you own property, that's the way that they can find you, right? Because
This
all
is
of that's
true.
public record.
Public record.
But it would take longer. And I think that's really what people are looking to do, is people are looking to kind of push these things out. For instance, whatever that 5G is, I don't know what it is. Spidey senses are tingling. Eventually, when I put it all together, we can discuss it. But where we live, they're barely 4G, right? So the data's spotty, yeah, but you're not gonna have those dangerous EMPs from whatever that 5G is. Also in the cities, when we talk about that martial law, it's like, if you live in, like I call it, the bush of Louisiana, you just kind of like, how long it would take for them to just kind of go through the town and kind of get everybody marshaled, because they will be so focused on the cities. That's not to say, though, like Simon and I talked about, that they won't find ways to create ancillary manpower.
This is true.
Right?
Manpower.
Ancillary manpower. I've been watching the migrant situation in New York City, and it's interesting, because Mayor Adams, and while I'm going off, I'm on par, so y'all just follow me. He's having trouble with funding, because they got to take care of the migrants. So he's got to cut police funding and so on and so forth. But if they're upping the military right? They're going to add to that budget and
They
create
will.
ancillary things in order to have the manpower they need.
Yes, indeed.
So we need to start looking at that as well.
Yeah, so that's just some of the things we came across this week that we found interesting and that we will continue to look at because there's new stuff popping up every day. She finds very interesting information. She's a but do we have anything to say? Because we're going to go ahead and get out of here. We kept you guys too long,
We
unfortunately,
did. But y'all was asking questions, so I was answering the people. Crazy Bronstein, the colonel said, and I think he's right. He's basically saying, can you do like another flag theory? Because
is that what he's
situation,
asking? Okay.
and any new info we should know about, because he's right. Some of the stuff that we talked about worked. It was beneficial in that particular time period, but now
Gotcha.
as we're moving forward, it's going to be a lot more difficult to do some of those things.
Oh, definitely, especially as, because one of the main things in flag theory was starting a bank account in another country, and that is very difficult now because of FACTA. Sometimes I get them.
It is factor, yeah.
FACTA is it's a couple of them.
But also the banks that were loose on that. Remember when we first got
Yeah,
here?
yeah,
There
were
were like
loose
2
on
or
that.
3 banks we could have opened on your tourist visa. They didn't care about it. Now that you can't
Yeah,
do
they
it.
didn't care about it. If you got enough money, they'll work with
Now
you.
they won't let you
But
do that.
if you come in with a little bit of money, they not trying to.
Hi, dear bit. She always tell me how pretty my hair is.
Hey, dear bit. Shout out to dear bit.
I'm so glad to see you, love. But yes, I'm gonna
Guess we're just live. We're just doing it.
we're live, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, my bad.
I thought maybe you had something you had to do, babe.
No, I thought we had a time constraint.
No, we don't have a time constraint. I thought you had something to do.
No.
But that's why I said I was answering the people's questions. We're not gonna like drag this out because we don't have a time
But it's an
constraint.
interesting conversation, though. So if people have questions, go
We
ahead
wanted
and
to
pop in
answer.
and let us know. We like to talk to the family, like out there. But yeah, yes, we do need to do another flag theory because he is correct. Things have changed drastically.
And kind of giving you guys the temperature of the room to come, right?
Right.
2, for the new people who join the live, just go over the disaster preparedness plan for their household.
Wow.
They should be stacking silver.
Oh, definitely stacking
Gold if you
silver.
can.
And the reason you stack silver, once you get into disaster preparedness, is for bartering. It goes past investing and stuff like that because you need something to barter with somebody else. And Bitcoin, you can barter with Bitcoin as well. One wallet to another. These things you need because I watched a very interesting documentary, and Aaron watched it with me. And it was about some people who were trying to get off the grid, and they moved to northern Alaska, and they were bartering. I mean, it was northern. I'm just saying, it's cold. Up there.
They were bothered.
But yeah, so they're bartering. They're bartering potatoes for fish.
But tell them about the oppression too, because they
yeah.
were trying to get off the grid.
Yeah, because they were trying to get off the grid. If you guys used to watch, I think it was called Alaska State Troopers, but they used to hassle those people up there if you got a fishing license, because cats was just going down and say, hey, I'm just go catch my food for the day. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, let me see a fishing license. They would take your fish if you don't have a proper fishing license and give you a ticket. And that's the opposite what
That
they were
was
trying
like
to do is get off the grid.
10 years ago.
It's been a minute. You give
Yeah.
me a ticket, take my fish, and give me a ticket.
But for those of you who guys just joined us or maybe joined us after we mentioned it, this is the time now. Tomorrow is somebody's payday. You want to absolutely this weekend start purchasing more non-perishable goods. I was explaining earlier, Sam's Club, Costco, the Restaurant Depot, beef, right? Because beef, not only is it, once it's frozen solid, it takes a while to unfreeze and stuff. It'll last a while, but it's also something that if, God forbid, you couldn't cook it all the way through, you're not gonna get sick, right? Just the thought of that makes his stomach turn. He does not do anything medium rare, 3/4. It has to be well done for him. But it's also like meat that can keep up your sustenance, right? It doesn't have I'm gonna call it like the sepsis kind of situation like pork. Chicken is a lot more perishable. Fish, very perishable, right? And then the plan is that you would absolutely keep your fridge packed tight. Don't go in there all day long, right? You want to keep your fridge door closed once you pack it up with a whole bunch of stuff. And then go through the perishable items first, right? Then after that, you go through the non-perishable items. One of the things I didn't mention is that when the pandemic hit, people got used to going in their fridge and eating because they were bored. And that's what they wanted to see, right? They wanted to see, they were absolutely studying and examining the psychological behavior of people who were just stuck inside the house. And what did they do? We talked about the pandemic, 20 pounds, right? A lot of those stars were like, oh, I got to lose weight now that we can do work again, and this, that, and the third. And it's like, no, you got to do the opposite. You got to do the opposite because they're trying to figure out when the people are relegated to their homes, they're going to eat out of boredom, and now we can control them with food.
That's what it is. Check these people out. I'll go in.
I will.
Yeah, she is.
More disaster preparedness, the Flint, the stuff like that. Baby.
Oh yeah, you definitely gotta have your Flint. You gotta know how. I said you gotta know how to start a fire. Please know how to start a fire. Somebody in your family know how to start a fire. We have people in our family who are designated certain roles.
The buddy system.
Buddy system. You're the manager of this. You do that. You know about the foods. So people are designated certain roles, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Now you circle this thing back. Everybody's not a big family like ours, so sometimes you may be an individual, or you may be two, or a smaller. So you got to still understand how to get things done in that regard, right? And sometimes as a single individual, things could be a little bit more difficult because it's just one person to do everything. And, unfortunately, if that's how it is, we still have to, go about the business of figuring it out, right?
Right.
It's just a little tougher, though.
It's a little tougher. And that's why we're all putting our heads together. There's a lot of great suggestions in the chat. Definitely have matches. Get those big lighters with the long, that way you have access when your candle burns down or whatever. Always, he's a firefighter, always be very aware of open flames inside of your house. Don't leave flames burning and no one's in the room, et cetera, et cetera. Have an extra pack of water per person in your household. We talked about, for those of you who just joined, hopefully you watch it again, but the national FEMA is going to do a national emergency test on October 4th at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? Spidey senses tingling, but just be ready for it.
Yeah, let us know what the people say.
So here, MCD said you guys are right on target. I travel abroad often, was just in Colombia looking at property, and exactly the rural areas are smart. Todd said, what do y'all think about investing in Ukraine land? So I'm going to tell you, I don't like real estate, and I don't like real estate because of how easily it can be appropriated.
This is true. That's
in
true.
This climate.
That's true because
especially by countries that can be easily destabilized.
Yeah, I mean, it comes across as a good purchase, but man, like she said, it could be appropriated. It's like people. I heard a lot of people wanted to get land in Venezuela when it was destabilized, and you might make money on it and have a good. But then it could be destabilized again.
And appropriated. Staking money in other countries. If you put $40,000 US in our bank, we'll give you citizenship. It can be appropriated, or it could just get swallowed up in whatever's going on.
This is true.
Like Michael Saylor. I don't like any of that stuff in this climate.
Michael Saylor told the quick story. He put $1 million in the bank in Argentina. They just froze everybody's account, shut it down. Destabilize the currency by 90%, and his $1 million became worth $100,000. Yeah. And
another story is there was a gentleman moved to Mexico. He moved to the rural part of southern Mexico. He had $1 million in
Western Mexico. Northern.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was southern. Northwestern Mexico.
Yeah.
Rural area. He had $1 million?
He had $1 million in the bank. But
the bank. I'm talking about the bank, not the compound.
That's
another story for another day. But the bank part is the $1 million kind of just disappeared, and there was no accountability as to what happened to it. So like these little things, I don't like when people have access to your wealth. Land to me is wealth, especially in other countries. Now, with the World Economic Forum, with the world coming together, and that's what I was talking about, all these actors are in bed together, anything goes now. And they have control of everything. And they can just write something new into it. So as far as real estate goes, I don't like it at all.
Anything new over there?
That was Ukraine. And then the colonel said dollar range, requisite amount to open an account like in Mexico.
Yeah.
What's the best way to move and transport precious metals? Don't even ask that
Oh
question.
boy, yeah. You got questions.
Oh boy.
So who wanted to know that?
The colonel wanted to know. So like we said.
So okay, the best way to, in my experience, I mean, there's two ways you can move the precious metals. You can move them. It depends on what type of metals they are. If you just have bulk like 10 ounces, something like that, kilo bars, then you just have to have that receipt that you purchased it with, so that when you go through customs, you pay the tax on it, right?
And
So
you have to watch them in customs.
you have to watch them. You have to keep an eye on them. But two, if you are buying American Silver Eagles, which Silver Eagles, Canadian Maple Leafs, those things, the Cougaran, all this stuff. When you get it, it says $1. So when you have to move it through customs, it will be seen as $1, even though it's worth whatever $25, $30 an ounce. It will be seen as customs $1. So if you want to move things through customs, you want to have those things like American
Like
Silver
that.
Eagles.
It's easier to catalog. It's easier to keep track of, right? You don't have loose rounds. Trust me, I'm telling y'all from experience.
Yeah, they try to get you.
Two, there's no numismatist on duty, right? So you have people who work in the airport who've never seen anything like that. Customs agent or not, they're used to drugs. They're not used to precious metals. They're used to a lot of money. They're not used to precious metals. So I would definitely, like he said, get the precious metals that come in. They had a name. The plastic case has a name. It escapes me. Now, as far as to open an account, now they want you to have residency and stake money in their bank account. Colonel, I do not recommend staking money in anybody's bank right now. I'm not even crazy about having our money in Chase Bank right now with the dollar collapsing, to be honest.
That's problematic. Like if you wanted to open an account, with some throwdown money, $500 to have it, which is one way of planting a flag. That's good,
But you can't do that in Mexico anymore.
Well,
They
I don't
shut
think
that
so.
down. Or at least in Mexico City, they shut that down.
Yeah, you're gonna need a little bit more than
And the
$500.
expat group's been talking about that. They want the residencies because they want people to stake their money.
Yeah, and so what I would say is what people used to tell me: I wouldn't stake any money that you're not willing to lose.
Right.
So if you're willing to lose it, but because it gets shaky over here, they get shady over here. It's everywhere. It's not, I'm nothing against Mexico, but it's a game, man.
Yeah, all of the countries are like it.
Yeah, it's the game.
It says, what do you guys think about other countries? Why do you guys think about other countries won't be part of the same globalist agenda? And that's what we're saying, is that they're all in bed together, which is why right now, that's not a strategic move we would make now. It was one when we talked about it in 2017, 2018, or whatever year we did that. It made sense then because the climate accepted that. The climate allowed you to thrive when you made those type of moves. They don't now. In order for these small countries to survive, they will have to bow to globalists, and they will. They absolutely will.
That's great. That's a great comment. I see you there. That's a great comment. Planting flags now is a little bit more difficult than it was, but it's still possible. And we will do another show on planting flags.
He talked about battery backups. Simon has I don't know if I could put my hands on it now, but it used to jump the truck like it was a
Well, that was a battery.
It had the chargers and stuff. When we charged it up, it was charged for 2-3 days because we used to live in Hurricane Alley.
Oh yeah.
In Florida, and the kids can have their devices. You can plug your phone in. It made it just less scary for the children when we used to have hurricanes. I think we paid $50 for it, but that was 2014, 2015 on Amazon. It's worth the money, whatever it is. It could also jump your car if your car is dead for 2-3 days. So definitely look at those. If you know, said bullets. Yes.
Yeah, bullets.
Um,
Bullets, you gotta get them.
they can commandeer and appropriate Bitcoin too. I think it's harder for them to do it. If it's on the exchange, they can, but if you have it in your wallet, like,
Yeah, yeah. This is they don't even know you have it.
right, you could be like, what's Bitcoin?
Right, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
What? What's Bitcoin?
Yeah, so yeah. So get it off the exchange. Everybody tells
Yeah,
you
get it
that.
off the exchange.
Gentlemen of crypto tell you that. Get it off the exchange.
Oh, when we talk about the wallets too, if you have a nano ledger, right? So it's just kind of like, well, what's Bitcoin? What do you mean? So I do understand when you're saying that they're aware of the wallets as well.
They are. They're sitting on them. They're sitting on your wallets.
The IRS, yep, that's why the IRS wants you to report it.
Yeah, the IRS.
Hot wallets, y'all been chatting on here.
IRS talking about they gonna tax you as property. Remember that when you sell your Bitcoin, if you got some Bitcoin on say Cash App, because a lot of people hold Bitcoin on Cash App, you sell it off of there, you'll get I forget what the name of the form is, the number, but it will be taxed as property.
Yes, it will. In cyberspace, that's what it's supposed to be.
It
Taxed
will be
as
taxed
property.
So,
Colonel, it says receipts of precious coins. I don't know where you get your precious coins from, your precious metals from, but if you get it from AtMex, you have a dashboard and everything, you can just call them and tell them that maybe you need that printed out. Can you print out your?
you definitely can. They send you, if you get from AppMax, they send you the receipt.
But if you lose that, like if you lose the receipt.
If you lose it, yes, they will send you a new one.
Yeah, you can call them and contact them now.
And there's a digital one on there online.
Yeah, on your dashboard. But if you're getting it from dealers, I'm not really sure. I would definitely always hold on to those things, especially if you foresee the need, and you should always just kind of have it in the back of your mind of transferring
Yes.
custody.
And like she said, they do not have numismatists
Numismatists. There we go. Numismatists
at the
at customs. No, they
customs,
don't.
so they can't press you too hard.
They can't press you too
They're
hard.
trying to press you so that you pay money, but they can't press you because they have no way to evaluate your precious metals. So you could always stand your ground on that.
When do you guys think this will all jump off? Asked MCD. So before you came in the room, MCD, I was explaining that, picture this big, huge, gigantic granite ball that people are trying to push down this hill. It's not moving very far or very fast, but once it starts moving, it's going to take off. So with that being said, the World Economic Forum has a 7-year agenda, right? They're meeting September 22nd in New York City. It's already 2023. We're moving into 2024. So they really have a 6-year agenda when you start thinking about it. And 6 years seems like a long time, but it's not.
And I just want to jump in I can't remember, earlier somebody jumped in about the fourth turning, but you see that agenda lines up with the timing of the fourth turning, right?
Definitely get that book.
Fourth turning is supposed to culminate at 2030, as Strauss and Howe had postulated.
Right.
So this is 7 years, 2030 is right there. Fourth turning turns over, it's supposed to roll over into the first turn. Remember our last fourth turning, if you go back and do the knowledge, the last fourth turning was going into the Second World War, right? So the last fourth turning is said to started at the Great Depression, went through the 30s all the way up to the early 40s into World War II. And then once World War II was over, the United States won. And that was when the first turning started again, Geneva Convention, all this stuff. What was the other thing? Where they took the dollar. Well, that's 71. I'm sorry.
But still, it happened.
But still, nonetheless, end of World War II, the victory by the United States was the end of the fourth turning, running into the first turning. It moves over. And now, we're in the fourth turning.
Right.
And hopefully.
And you're hearing the rumors of wars. you had two countries in Africa, one's de jure, I can't remember the name of the other country, where they ran the U.S. and France up out of there, honey, and they're waving Ukrainian, no, I'm sorry, not Ukrainian, they're waving Russian flags everywhere because now they're joined up with Russia and China, who promised not to suck the the resources out of their land, and that they won't live in poverty and so on and so forth. I'd like to see it, but so you're gonna hear wars, the rumor of wars.
Yeah, war and war and war, right? Because the fourth turnings always were about war, right?
Large wars at
And
that.
so we were talking about that. We've done a show, and we could do it again about the Thucydides tract, which talked about the wars that happened at the end of the fourth turnings, right? So as they had cataloged it back all the way, there was 18 fourth turnings that they cataloged. 16 had major wars.
Accumulated into a major war. So this time, I'm gonna tell y'all this. I suspect, with my Simon suspicion, that this war will not be a physical war like we've known it. I believe that this war is absolutely going to be a major psyop or a psychological operation. It is going to be a mind F, right? I won't be cussing like that.
Come on now.
Mama be watching this.
Come on, you're gonna get us taken
So
down.
keep that in mind, and this is why we're talking to you about, right? If this is what they're doing this way, psychologically, this is what we should be doing that way, right? Starting to kind of fast, finding like if this is how they want control, then this is how, go ahead, baby. This is how I'm not gonna allow control to unstabilize me, destabilize me, make me anxious, make me fearful, and make me easy for you to just move around and control and do what you want me to do. It says MCD, he was talking to Todd. He was talking to Todd. If you know, says, I have Bitcoin in self-custody. You have a Roth, that's tax-free growth. That's good. I've been doing that too, baby. And we'll play with the Roth accounts in the future. You could also do gold and silver IRAs. Simon was big on that when I got the contract that I ended up getting, so he loves that. Oh, we love you too, MCD. Thank you so much. You be safe and be well. They're talking about another variant that's going to make people very sick. So what I'm going to say to y'all is, wash your hands, wash your face. We don't want to get caught up in the hype, but we do want to protect ourselves. The name of the game is control and value extraction. Them is the two words that should be the name of the show, right? Control and value extraction. All they got to do is let us kill each other by destabilizing each other, which they're doing, and they're really good at it. Yeah, but they have all these weird things now. As time goes on and I put a lot more stuff together, I'm going to sit down and talk to you guys exactly about a lot of the operations, and it's a lot. It's a lot, which is like we keep trying to do 2+ shows a week, and it's just like it's hard to do because we want to come to you guys with the concrete stuff that we have, and not the stuff that's up in the air. Like I can't even show y'all that video because real quick, right? One of the side off things is people are finding this lady killed a mosquito. She had mosquitoes in her house. And I don't know what made her look at it, but the mosquito had a tag on it. And then when she killed all of the other mosquitoes, she had a whole bunch of mosquitoes in her hand that had serial numbers on them. Yeah. Like little tags, like it didn't even look like a real mosquito once she realized what it was. It shaped like one. But why?
Yeah, and that's why we will continue to come to you randomly. We used to
randomly, but with concrete stuff, right? Not just the mosquito stuff. I need more information on that first, like where the patent is, who's holding the patent. I'm gonna trace it back, and do that for you guys because it is end of summer and we need to look into that.
Yeah, but for the family who's on here live, any questions or anything you want to talk about?
I think they got all their questions out, and we've kept them for a good little while. It's been almost an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna let y'all get back to your beautiful Thursday afternoon. Don't let all this doom and gloom get y'all down, right? The idea is to give us the confidence to not be anxious, not be fearful, but to be prepared. So when you guys go grocery shopping, extra can of corn, I'm like I said, some beef. Like y'all know, like when y'all make beef soup and stuff like that for my old school people, them things be like bricks when you freeze them. Stuff like that, that's gonna freeze for a good long time and not go bad. A mosquito can be in our homes and overhear our conversations, right? She was freaked out. So I'm doing the research on that because I need to find out and figure out who the patents belong to. Oh, I'm sure MCD that's where the patent's gonna lead me back to, right? I ain't gonna say it out loud. Y'all can read it. But I'm glad y'all don't. He said he loves doom and gloom. We're not here to do the doom and gloom. This is assets and arbitrage. We want the arbitrage at this point to be your asset, right? Just having the ability to have the opportunities to be safe, to be prepared, to be confident. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And that's how we gonna walk through this thing together, y'all. We love y'all.
Yes, we
and I don't know, maybe Tuesday?
Yeah, we'll find
I ain't gonna make no promises. Hey, Bam! No, that's okay. You can catch the replay. Let me tell y'all, Bam and his wife, they have real chickens. And I don't know if it's a chicken farm, Bam. You're gonna have to write in the comments and explain what you have. But just do me a favor, Bam. Oh, you can't do links, huh?
Nah, you can't.
Y'all look for Bam on Facebook. Bam, what's your Facebook name? Because I do want them to see y'all videos.
Yeah.
I think it's Bam Hardwick on our Facebook, though.
What's up, Bam? I seen your Cowboys out there last Sunday. I seen what they did out there. That was a massacre. So shout out to Bam and his Cowboys.
So, but they have real organic chickens. They the right size. They are healthy. It's Bam Hardwick. I knew it. It's Bam Hardwick. Y'all go look him up on Facebook. If you guys, I think Bam is in Texas because he's a Cowboys fan. But him and his wife are doing incredible things. It's very inspiring, and we need some inspiring after all of that doom and gloom I threw up on y'all today. So definitely check them out. Beautiful family. Tell Mrs. Hardrick I said hello. Beautiful, beautiful family. And we will catch y'all next week with more preparedness, right? So right now, the asset is the arbitrage. That's the asset right now. Oh, the Colonel said his poor New York Giants. The Bengals lost too. So.
I'm sorry about them Giants, man. I don't know what that was out there, man. But okay, it's always next week.
KW1 is a Dallas. Oh, she's also a Cowboys fan.
Oh, okay.
He's a diehard Cincinnati Bengals fan. Joe Burrow.
We'll get it together.
Joey B, better do it this year for him, or else it's gonna be a rough February for Mom. I want y'all to be safe. Be safe, be safe, be safe, and we'll see y'all again next week.
All right. Salute.
I never know how to turn this thing off, babe. Okay, here it is.